she was about to sign a $900 million deal that would make history. But when a billionaire's arrogant comment tried to humiliate her in front of the world's most powerful people, she stood up, shut him down, and walked away from the deal on her own terms. What happened next? No one saw coming. This is the story of Janelle Carter and the move that shook corporate America. In a ballroom lit like a royal palace, where crystal chandeliers sparkled like stars and the air was thick with ambition and expensive cologne, Janelle Carter made her entrance. Dressed in a sleek black suit that radiated power, confidence, and grace, she walked with the calm poise of someone who belonged, no matter how many people in that room doubted it. All around her, white men in tailored tuxedos and women draped in couture whispered to each other as she passed. Some nodded with respect, others with curiosity. But one thing was certain, every eye was on her. Janelle wasn't just a guest at the Legacy Business Summit, she was the main event. The summit, held annually at the Four Seasons in downtown Manhattan, was a gathering of the wealthiest and most powerful business figures in the world. The guest list was invitation only, and it was rumored that the average net worth in the room hovered in the billions. Most came to network. Some came to invest. But tonight, everyone was here to see what would happen between Novamind Tech and the Wexford family. Janelle Carter had done the impossible. At just 39 years old, she had turned Novamind, once a modest AI research firm operating out of her one-bedroom apartment, into one of the fastest-growing tech companies in North America. She had patents under her name, partnerships with major universities, and contracts with defense, healthcare, and education sectors. In just 7 years, Novamind's valuation had soared past $750 million. But this night was about more than just success. It was about making history. The $900 million deal on the table between Novamind and Wexford Capital was groundbreaking. It wasn't just a strategic partnership, it was a power shift. If it went through, Janelle would become the first black woman CEO to secure a deal of that magnitude with one of the oldest and wealthiest financial dynasties in the country. And she wouldn't just be joining them, she'd be leading the technology innovation wing of their empire. The buzz in the ballroom reflected the weight of that moment. Janelle smiled politely as executives approached her with congratulations. Camera crews filmed her walking in, and reporters tried to catch her eye. Still, not everyone was celebrating. The Wexford family, headed by the aging patriarch Walter Wexford and his son Philip, had controlled generational wealth for nearly a century. They were known for their ruthless deals and quiet elitism. Publicly, they praised diversity and innovation. Privately, they had a reputation for gatekeeping and preserving legacy above all else. As Janelle approached the Wexford table, she extended her hand to Walter. He shook it stiffly, offering a quick smile that didn't reach his eyes. Philip, tall and smug in a custom navy suit, gave her a nod that felt more like a test than a welcome. Still, Janelle remained unshaken. She had faced rooms like this before, rooms that were not built for her, rooms that made her fight for every inch of space. And every time, she had claimed her place without begging for it. That night, she delivered a keynote speech that left the audience breathless. She spoke not just of artificial intelligence and market projections, but of responsibility, vision, and the future of ethical tech. She told the story of coding in the middle of the night while caring for her sick mother, of rejections, of racism in Silicon Valley, and of building something that mattered from nothing. She didn't ask for applause, but she got it anyway. Still, behind the round of standing ovations, there were whispers. "She's brilliant, but is she really a good fit for the Wexfords? A black woman running a $900 million merger? That's bold." Janelle was used to the coded language. She knew what people meant when they said things like bold, aggressive, or ambitious in certain tones. But she kept smiling. The private dinner later that evening would change everything. It was supposed to be the final step, an intimate celebration with a few key executives and the Wexfords. The moment to toast to the future. But something in Philip's tone, in his eyes, in the patronizing way he looked at her, as if she were an exception to a rule. Something told Janelle this wasn't what it seemed. Behind the champagne glasses and luxury tablecloths, the real power dynamic was about to reveal itself. And what Janelle didn't know yet was that by the end of that dinner, she wouldn't just be walking away from the Wexfords. She'd be changing the story of who gets to sit at the table, and who gets to flip it over. The grand dining hall of the Legacy Summit had transformed from glitzy glamour to quiet exclusivity. The public fanfare had ended. Cameras were off. The press had cleared out. And now, seated at a long mahogany table lined with imported crystal and aged wine, were some of the most influential power players in tech and finance. At the head sat Philip Wexford, heir to the Wexford Empire, and the man many believed was about to shake hands with Janelle Carter on a $900 million partnership. The table was surrounded by top executives from both companies, financial advisors, and select board members. This wasn't just dinner. It was symbolic closure. The deal was practically inked. Janelle, seated directly across from Philip, had every reason to feel proud. Her company's valuation had soared. Her team had delivered on every milestone. She had earned this moment. But beneath the polished smiles and clinking of glasses, a subtle tension lingered in the air, one that Janelle could feel in her gut. She was no stranger to microaggressions, but she didn't expect the blow to come so blatantly, and so publicly, from the man who had spent the past 6 months courting her business. It came as the wine was poured and the conversation turned casual. Laughter bounced softly around the table. Someone complimented Novamind's latest AI patent. Janelle responded graciously, her tone warm yet precise. That's when Philip leaned back, swirling his glass lazily. "So," he said, his voice cutting through the room like a piano string snapping, "how does it feel to be lucky enough to get a seat at this table?" Janelle blinked. For a half-second, she thought she must have misheard him. But then she saw the look in his eyes, smug, amused, dismissive. He wasn't joking. And he wasn't done. "I mean," he added with a slight chuckle, "for someone without a legacy or, let's be real, pedigree, it's impressive you made it this far." The table froze. No one spoke. No one moved. Even the server standing against the wall seemed to pause. Janelle looked around. 12 people. All white. All men, except for one woman from Wexford Capital's HR team, who suddenly found her fork very interesting. Some of them looked down. Others shifted in their seats. A few smirked. Not one person spoke up. The silence spoke volumes. Philip leaned in, clearly enjoying himself. "Don't take it the wrong way. I mean, luck plays a role in all success stories, right?" Janelle's expression remained unreadable, but her mind raced. This was more than a snide remark. It was a calculated dismissal of everything she had built. Of every sleepless night, every funding pitch she nailed, every boardroom she had walked into alone, every no she had turned into a yes. It was a way of reducing her entire journey to a fluke, an anomaly rather than achievement. She took a breath. Her pulse slowed. Years of executive composure kicked in, but something in her stirred. A quiet rage wrapped in dignity. She pushed her chair back gently, the legs making a soft scraping sound on the marble floor. Every head turned to her. Janelle stood, not slowly, not dramatically, but deliberately. She met Philip's gaze, her voice calm but sharp as glass. "You know what's lucky, Philip?" she said, her tone cool and clear. "Being born into power, into legacy, into a last name that opens doors before you've ever proven you deserve to walk through them." A murmur rippled across the table. She continued, not breaking eye contact. "But when someone like me gets to this table, despite every system, every bias, every door slammed shut, we're not lucky. We're undeniable. Philip's smile wavered for the first time. Janelle turned her gaze to the rest of the table. And if this is the culture I'm expected to align with, if this is what legacy means, then maybe this partnership isn't aligned with my company's values after all. She didn't shout. She didn't need to. Her words landed like thunder. Without waiting for a response, she calmly picked up her clutch and walked away from the table. Her heels echoed across the floor as silence filled the room like fog. For a few moments, no one moved. Philip sat frozen, wine glass in hand, his smirk gone. And just like that, the deal that was supposed to define a new era for Wexford Capital collapsed under the weight of arrogance. Because Janelle Carter wasn't just lucky. She was the storm they never saw coming seconds after Philip's demeaning comment. The silence thickened, hanging heavy over the polished table like smoke. The soft hum of the string quartet playing in the next room was the only sound that dared to fill the void. Janelle Carter, standing tall and composed, let the silence do its work. She could feel the weight of every eye on her, some filled with pity, others with unease, and a few, disgustingly, with amusement. But Janelle didn't blink. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't fumble or flinch. Instead, she leaned in slightly, her voice soft, smooth, and razor-sharp. "You know what's really lucky, Philip?" she said, her tone carrying more power than a shout. "Being born into a billion-dollar name, and still needing someone like me to make your company relevant again." A pause. A deadly pause. One executive choked on his drink, trying to hold back a cough. Another coughed to cover the awkwardness. Someone else looked down at his plate like it had suddenly become the most interesting thing in the world. But Janelle didn't look away. She kept her eyes on Philip, watching his smile falter, just barely, but enough. He shifted in his seat. "In fact," she continued, rising slowly from her chair, her posture regal and unshaken, "if this is the culture I'm expected to align with, then perhaps this deal isn't what I thought it was." Philip let out a short, forced laugh. "Come on, Janelle," he said, his voice tight with embarrassment masked his charm. "Don't take things so personally. We're just talking. You know how these dinners go." But she was already placing her napkin neatly on the table, already lifting her clutch from the chair beside her. Already done. She turned her back to the table without another word. Her heels tapped sharply against the marble floor, each step echoing louder than any insult ever could. No one stopped her. No one called her back. Because they all knew she had said everything that needed to be said. And outside the grand dining room, the world was waiting. Waiting for the photos, the handshakes, the press releases confirming the historic merger. But what they were about to get was a completely different headline. The next morning, everything changed. It began with a tweet, short, sharp, and unmistakably hers. "We're stepping away. JC." No context. No explanation. But it didn't need one. By the time the business world finished its morning coffee, the tweet had already gone viral. Screenshots of Janelle leaving the dinner circulated online. Whispers turned into headlines. "Novamind CEO walks out on $900 million deal with Wexford Capital. Was this the most graceful corporate power move of the decade? Janelle Carter chooses integrity over billions and wins public praise." Behind closed doors, the Wexford board was in chaos. Calls flooded in from investors, journalists, and internal PR teams. Philip tried to spin the story, claiming miscommunication, but sources leaked the dinner conversation to several reporters. And when the quote surfaced, it was game over. People were furious, not just because of the arrogance, but because Janelle had represented something greater than just herself. She was a symbol of earned power, of representation, of merit. Her walkout wasn't seen as emotional or impulsive. It was seen as a stand. And just as Philip had underestimated her, so had the world. In less than 24 hours, Janelle went from tech executive to global headline. Celebrities posted about her. Activists applauded her. Corporate leaders issued statements aligning with her values. University professors used her story as a modern case study in leadership and integrity. She was invited to speak at Harvard, Stanford, and the United Nations. Her LinkedIn followers tripled. Novamind's board received thousands of messages from young women saying they felt seen and validated. And behind it all, Janelle remained composed. She issued only one formal statement that week. Respect is not optional. Integrity is not for sale. We're building more than just technology. We're building culture. And the price tag on that is non-negotiable. In less than a week, Novamind received 4 new partnership offers, each valuing the company higher than Wexford's original bid. And as for Philip, the Wexford board quietly pulled him from all public-facing duties. Investors were skeptical. The family's reputation was bruised. Their legacy, as he once called it, was now a cautionary tale. Because Janelle didn't just walk away from a deal. And the impact rippled beyond her. Women in boardrooms across the country shared the story with their teams. DI consultants used it as a case study. Tech companies started reevaluating their own cultures. At a time when inclusion was being thrown around as a PR tool, Janelle redefined it as a non-negotiable business standard. She didn't ask for sympathy. She demanded respect. A lesson heard loud and clear in the days that followed. More details about the dinner leaked. Multiple sources confirmed Philip Wexford's patronizing comments. Others shared that this wasn't the first time he had made elitist remarks behind closed doors. But it was the first time someone powerful enough and brave enough had said, "Enough." And the world listened. The message was clear. It doesn't matter how much money is on the table. If respect isn't part of the deal, then there is no deal. By choosing to walk away, Janelle Carter didn't lose. She led. And in doing so, she changed the corporate landscape forever. Within 72 hours, Janelle Carter's quiet walkout became a national, and then global, conversation. What began as a controversial corporate breakup quickly transformed into a rallying cry. News anchors on CNN and CNBC replayed clips of her past speeches. Analysts debated her decision on financial shows, and social media platforms erupted with praise. Women of color across industries lit up the internet with solidarity. Hashtags like hashtag Janelle Carter was right, hashtag power with principle, and hashtag not your token started trending. LinkedIn posts went viral as Black female executives shared their own experiences of being patronized, underestimated, or silenced in boardrooms, experiences that now had a new face of resistance. In one widely shared video, a Fortune 100 executive said, "What Janelle did wasn't just brave. It was necessary. She showed us that we don't have to smile through disrespect to be successful." Janelle wasn't just in the news. She was inspiring a movement. Corporate America took notice. Major players couldn't ignore the wave. Fortune 500 CEOs, both men and women, began releasing public statements not just in support of Janelle, but re-emphasizing their own commitments to workplace inclusion and leadership integrity. One CEO of a major investment bank wrote, "Integrity is the most valuable currency in business." Janelle Carter just reminded us all how it should be spent. HR teams began internally sharing the story as a case study on how company culture can destroy deals, reputations, and the future. Her LinkedIn inbox filled with thousands of messages. She was invited to speak at Harvard Business School, MIT Sloan, Stanford, and even the World Economic Forum in Davos. Organizers didn't just want her insight on tech, they wanted her voice on leadership, values, and the shifting power dynamics in today's economy. Then came the twist. A bigger offer just as the world celebrated her stand. A new opportunity arrived, quietly, but boldly. a leading international tech giant, headquartered in Asia, known for its innovation in artificial intelligence and ethical computing, reached out. Their message was clear. We don't want a piece of Novamind. We want to build a future with you at the center of it. The offer? $1.2 billion. More than the Wexford deal. More resources. More freedom. And most importantly, more respect. But it wasn't just about the number. This investor came to the table with something Philip Wexford never did: humility. They sent a cross-cultural delegation to meet with Janelle's team. They listened. They collaborated. And in just a few weeks, Novamind and their new partner announced a strategic alliance that would take the company global, opening research hubs in Europe, Asia, and Africa. The announcement made headlines. After walking away from $900 million, Janelle Carter signs $1.2 billion global deal. Novamind to expand internationally in landmark AI partnership. From disrespect to domination. Janelle Carter's next chapter. The Wexford fallout. While Janelle soared, the Wexford family crumbled. Internal board emails leaked, revealing tension and backlash over Philip's remarks. Investors demanded accountability. The media wouldn't let the story die down. In a swift, face-saving move, Philip Wexford was forced to resign from all public-facing roles. The official line was that he was transitioning into a strategic advisory position, but everyone knew the truth: he had been sidelined. What was meant to be a legacy-defining deal for the Wexfords turned into a PR disaster. Their reputation, once untouchable, was now questioned. They were no longer viewed as visionary empire builders, but as outdated gatekeepers who failed to evolve. A legacy redefined. Janelle didn't just cancel a deal. She rewrote the rules. She proved that principle could outperform profit. She showed an entire generation of underrepresented founders that you don't have to compromise your dignity to rise. She didn't win by playing their game. She won by walking away from it and building her own. And now, Novamind wasn't just a rising tech firm. It was a symbol, a movement, a message. That power isn't just inherited, it can be built. That respect is no longer optional. And that the table doesn't define you. You define your own worth. And if the table isn't big enough, you walk away and build a bigger one. If this story inspired you, made you think, or just kept you hooked till the end, don't forget to hit that like button. Thumbs up, and if you want more powerful stories like this, real drama, bold moves, and game-changing moments, subscribe now and turn on the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes walking away is the strongest move you can make.